There's actually a term for that, relation shopping. It's one of those.
That is a perfect term. 'Cause that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you push record?
Thank you for tuning into our second act with Paige and Silka.
For your second act of life. Hey, Silka.
Hi, Paige. Oh, it's so much fun doing that with you again.
I know, I feel the same way.
You brought up a topic to me. When it comes to dating after 50, starting a new relationship, one of the pieces of advice that you and I have given, that other contact experts have given, is that you really need to know what you want. But what that has turned into is creating these checklists that in and of itself has gotten to be a huge issue, which you told me you see now all the time. So I thought, let's talk about that. Are you doing this? Because checklists may be hurting your chances at finding the right person.
And it's hurting the person who's trying to have a relationship with the other person who has a checklist. There's nothing wrong with checklists. It becomes a problem when checklists become your only focus. And it's, okay, this is what I want, and I'm not going to veer away from what I want. And if they don't meet my boxes, tick, 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 I'm not going to do it, which really, if you're out there dating and you're so sold the box, then you're not connected to your heart and to your intuitiveness of what this other person and who this other person possibly is in front of you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. There's actually a term for that. This is the first time I've heard it when I was reading up on this. Relation shopping. It's one of those.
That is a perfect term. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, we've turned people into products, commodities that we pass up, or compare to a checklist, just like we would go into the grocery store.
That happens because after 50, we've gone through a lot, right? We have seen a lot of things. We've endured a lot of things. And I believe in what I see is there's a lot of fear attached to, well, if I have my checklist and everything's clicked off, then that means that when a person meets my checklist, that it's going to be okay. I don't have to go through grief anymore. I don't have to go through this dating process anymore. I'll be okay and things will work out, because there's a lot of fear and anxiety attached to it.
Yeah, you just jumped to one of the key points I wanted to discuss with you.
Oh, look at that.
And that is really getting into a little deeper on what checklists actually represent to a lot of people. It's almost a buffer, a wall to start a relationship.
It is. And like I said, it's out of fear, and when I see people who have been on online dating and dating apps for a long time, they don't want to have to go through the whole rigmarole of, okay, going through each person again. So, it's kind of natural sometimes that they create a checklist because they're like, been there, done that. I don't want to waste any time because guess what? I'm not 25 anymore. And I just want to find somebody. So this is the safest, surest way to find somebody. And when you're the other person, right, on the other end, who's trying to connect with someone with a checklist, it really does a number on you, because you're like, well, wait a minute. They seem very rigid. They don't want to have lots of conversations. They just want to get to, here's my questions. How do you feel about this? What are your opinions on this? And it really, like you said, it creates a wall. It doesn't create intimacy. And you come from a brain and you're not involving any parts of your heart.
I think something that would be really beneficial for our viewers that may be saying, am I doing this or not? What is the difference between knowing what you want and having a rigid checklist?
You've heard me say this for years, Silka. It's coming back to knowing who you are. And it's coming back to connecting to yourself and realizing or understanding, am I going through this process of online dating out of fear and anxiety, or am I going through this process of online dating and being open with my heart and trusting what I know about my red flags and what I know about things for myself that either would or would not work with someone else.
Well, I think maybe one of the things that makes it different is that, to me anyway, is knowing what you want is more value and feeling based than a checklist that has things, height, weight, stuff that is literally a shopping list. And a lot of people have that. A man has to have so many degrees, a woman has to, whatever.
It's a fine line, right? Like, where is the cusp that you go over to the checklist so much? And again, it's always out of fear. It's out of fear and the anxiety of, oh my gosh, I'm over 50 and I don't want to go through anything anymore. They need to make sure that everything's on this checklist. And if they're not on this checklist, then I know that won't work for me because of all the other things that I've experienced that didn't feel well to me. Versus what you're saying of, look, I know what I want and I'm going to trust the process and I'm going to trust my knowing of the person that's in front of me and what to do with the person that's in front of me. Does that make sense? Clear that
Well,
up a little?
you just said a key word, the person in front of me. One of the big points that other authors, other content experts have made is that you really can't make a decision about a person, on a digital screen for 3 seconds. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the day, which I was. I online dated. We didn't have the swiping ads then. I can't. I don't even. That to me is just. I really wouldn't want to do that. I really
Me either.
wouldn't. Yeah.
Me either.
What would be a good bit of advice to someone that, here, this is the person you may want to give a chance, and then here, what, there is enough here where I just don't really want to meet up. Any input on that?
Yep. We always know. We always have an inner knowing. It's whether you want to pay attention to the inner knowing. I equate it to when you're in a relationship and you just know someone's cheating or someone's not being honest. You always know. It's the same thing when you first meet somebody, you have that knowing. And if you've been working on yourself and trusting yourself, after 50, we've got so much wisdom. Use it. The checklists are about perfectionism, right?
Yes.
Because we want the person to be perfect to match our needs and be perfect in every way because of everything that we went through. So if you start to find yourself leaning more towards this has to be perfect and you're nervous that it's not going to be perfect and it's not going to play out in the perfect way that you have in your mind, that means you have an expectation. And I'll tell you right now that all expectations do is make you upset and you will not be able to connect with someone because you have an expectation up here and they're not going to be able to reach it. And if they do, they will never be able to sustain it. So that's another piece of the checklist is having this unrealistic expectation, which comes from fear and anxiety.
Yeah. In one of my interviews recently, that was a huge point, that just get rid of expectations.
Easier said than done for people.
Absolutely. And again, when I talk about this, I think back, go, how would I handle that? We're giving this advice. We're saying this would be a good thing to do. Would I have done that? And I'm really trying to be transparent about that, about how difficult it really is, because
It is.
you're making a decision to meet someone. I think I did this as well. If there was just nothing in the profile that stuck out to where, I don't want to meet this person, but everything else is good, then give that person a chance. If for no other reason, just to have fun. That's that goes back to expectations. Don't go on this date thinking that, you're going to meet the one. Just go have fun.
That's part of it. And there's also a big part of it is, you're actually always growing when you're going through this process as well. So you can look at it as, okay, this is going to be an adventure. But like many of my clients often say, I'm tired of the adventures. I've been on a lot of them and I'd like to find what I need. And, when we're so hyper focused on finding it, it becomes, almost like an obsession.
Yeah.
And when that becomes too much, you got to step away and give it some breathing space because you've lost the ability to trust the process and to trust yourself and to trust that if it is going to happen. When it is going to happen, it will happen in the divine timing that it's supposed to happen. And when you put so much into it, sometimes you're really creating a really bad process because you're not balanced in the rest of your life. And believe me, my clients show me the texts that they get from this whole checklist process. And I can tell and see right away, okay, this is a checklist person. How do you want to handle this? This is what they're doing. And along with the checklist is, I need to see you right away, because if I don't see you right away, I won't know. So we have to meet. And I've got clients who are flying all over the country on like the third time they speak to someone. And I always say to them, slow down. Stop. You're not trusting in the process because you're fearful that this person's going to go away. If that person with a checklist wants to go away that quickly, that is not someone that you want to be with,
Right.
because they're making the process very quick and they want to know right away, and there's no time to let things unfold.
Yeah. You hit on something here too, in terms of giving advice, of giving someone a chance versus just, swiping left or right. Is you can give someone a chance, doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that you just go out and meet them right away, but do interact on text, not forever, but maybe a few. Get on the phone. That'll give you more information. And then, have that person in front of you. So it's not that extreme, okay, I'll give this person a chance, let's get together. And I think that's probably an objection that I
I'm
would have as well.
Yeah, I'm seeing that more and more.
Yeah.
And even though they're doing FaceTime and
Hmm.
Zoom to see
Yeah.
each other, I'm hearing from my clients over and over again, this person really wants to see me. We need to get together. And what I'll say to them is, does that work for you right now? Stop being pushed into something out of your fear. Are you ready for that piece? Is this going too quick for you? What feels right for you? Because it's really hard when you have somebody else who's pushing and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I might lose this person. This person might be the one. And it goes back to what I've always said, stop. Go within. Is this right for you right now? You can slow the process down. And if the other person on the other end with the checklist doesn't want to slow it down, you got your answer right there.
Yeah. What has come up a lot and is a very contentious discussion is politics with the world we're in right now. Do you think politics should enter into whether or not you're going to progress with someone?
It's very interesting because I see two items coming up: politics and the pandemic towards the vaccines.
Yeah.
These two things keep coming up. And what I've noticed is that with my clients, they kind of wait to get to that piece. Because if the other person is in the extreme
Hmm.
direction away from where they stand in politics, it can really cut it off right then and there.
Yeah.
So, do you have to get to the politics right away? Only you can answer that.
Hmm.
But it's heated because when you look at politics, there's a value system, right,
Hmm.
that we hold dear
Right.
underneath that. And if that value system with what you think and feel in the world is going to be a make or break for you,
Hmm.
then you have to decide where you want to be with that. It's the
Yeah.
same thing I've seen with vaccines. My clients are going through the same thing too
Yeah.
with the pandemic. So, two big items that I've seen that has entered the shopping checklist.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you brought up a good word again, and that is the extreme. Some people have it right on their profiles. I'm being told is that don't even
Yes,
contact me if you're this or that. And
yes.
I don't think I think that's unnecessary. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out to you.
It's a good one. It's a big one, but you have to ask yourself, is that an area that you really can avoid? Because if it's something that later on in life you two aren't on the same page about, and it just promotes more of this, do
Yeah.
you want that as you age? Because a lot of energy goes out
Yeah.
there. You have to pick and choose
Yeah.
what you want to put your energy towards.
Yeah. Excellent, excellent point. That's exactly how I feel. Anyway, Paige, thank you. Is there anything else you want to add before we close our checklist topic?
There's nothing wrong with writing things down as to what you want. It becomes not productive when you marry yourself to the checklist And that's the only thing that you're using, the checklist and fear. Because if you just look at the checklist, make sure you write fear down and anxiety down, because that's what's happening when you just marry the checklist versus allowing the trust within you, the intuitiveness within you, and the knowing within you. You got to have both. Let things unfold. You'll
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, lots to think about, and it requires, really some introspection. Are you
Yes.
hurting
Oh,
your, yeah, are you hurting your chances with this checklist? Are you relation shopping? I love that term.
I know. I like it too. I'm going to use that now with my clients. That's a great term and it sums it up beautifully.
It's funny. It makes me remember when I first started, and this was over 10 years ago, and I get together with my girlfriends, and some of them were still married, and, they just thought this online dating thing was fascinating. So I get out, I get out the laptop, and I called it the man catalog. Let's open the man
Oh my
catalog.
gosh, I love that.
But isn't that horrible? I mean, well,
It's really what it is if you
yeah.
think about it, the
But we
male
have
and
to,
female catalog.
yeah, we just have to remember that these are people. And I think that as the online dating has progressed and turned into this left and right swipe, it's gotten very sterile. So anyway, Paige, thank you. Look forward to seeing you next time on Our Second Act with Paige and Silka.
For your second active life. Bye.
If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. The button is right here. Just click on through to YouTube, and when you see the little bell right next to the subscribe button, hit that too, and we'll notify you every time we launch a new video. See you next time.